Well, hi there, and welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Real Estate Investing. I'm your host, Sharon Vornholt, and I'm so happy you're here with me today. We have just about 2 months left in the year, and as I was working on what I thought was going to be this week's podcast, I decided it actually needed to be next week's podcast. So there's something that I think really comes before the topic of next week's podcast, which is setting yourself up for success in the new year. Now, I'll give you a little heads up about next week's podcast because we're going to be talking about these 6 things. We're going to be talking about your marketing, your existing branding, your CRM, and your follow-up system that you have in place for your leads. That's an important one. We'll be talking about your website, your systems and processes, and we'll touch on outsourcing. And I'm going to give you some simple steps for getting all of those things in order before the new year rolls around. But we'll just go over how to freshen things up and to see if you need to make any changes. So you don't want to miss that episode. But as I said, I think there is a step that you need to do before you really address these things. So I wanted to create kind of a mini episode today of the things that you can do before the episode next week. And we actually start to work on these actionable steps that you can do before the beginning of the new year. So this week is going to be short and sweet. So here we go. Number 1 is to do an honest review of how this year went. What worked? Put down what worked well, what didn't work. What things do you know right now that you need to change? And this is a time to be brutally honest. This is not a list that anybody's going to see except for you. So this is how you improve your business, is to take a really hard look at how the year went. Did you make the money you want to make? Did you do the number of deals you want to do? Is your marketing working for you? All the other pieces in your business, though, they come into play here. So number 1 is do an honest review of next year. Number 2 is if you have a team, and now this might be a big team, it might be a small team. You may have one person that works with you part-time. This is a thing that will make you a better leader and it will make them a better team member. But look at how this process went this year. How did you communicate? Did you communicate what you needed from them in a way so that they could do a better job at their job? So it comes back to being a good leader if you want to have good team members. And this is not something you need to dwell on, but for me, I probably, don't have enough meetings with my awesome VA, Carol. She's just so good. I don't feel like she needs a lot of direction for one thing. She's just really good. But if you want people to do their best work in general, you need to give them more direction. Number 3 is to make a loose plan for next year. Now, jot down those 3 or 4 big things or goals that you would like to accomplish. And this probably goes back to number 1, where you did an honest review of your year. If you didn't do the number of deals you wanted to do, for instance, then one of your goals might be to do X number of deals or make this amount of money or get these particular results. But looking back at last year will help you plot your path forward for this year. And you don't have to make a big plan at this time. Just first of all, number 1 is do a brain dump. Just get everything out of your brain. We carry all these things around in our brain and it makes us very disorganized. So once you've done that, pick out the 3 or 4 things that you would really like to focus on for next year. It could be, my deal flow is pretty good, but if I got my website working better, then I would get more leads from my website. But figure out what those things are. Like I said, don't worry about creating a big plan right now. But before we go into other things that you need to tweak or freshen up, we want to kind of have this plan of where you want to go. Where do you want to go? Because that will determine some of the choices that you make from next week's show. So number 4 is to market yourself and work on building your brand like crazy through the end of the year. This is a narrow frame of time, a couple of months. There will be a lot of opportunities for you to post on social media. If you happen to be a blogger or a podcast, there will be opportunities for you to post special things to help the people that listen to you or watch your videos. But get active on social media. Attend holiday networking events. You know, so many times we think these are just for fun, and hopefully they are fun, but you want to get in there and make some business progress as well. Meet some people, put yourself out there, get out of your comfort zone, and really take this time period of 8, 9, 10 weeks, whatever time is left for you from the time you listen to this till, the end of the year. But really make an effort to figure out, what can you go to? Who can you see? Who can you make aware that you exist? Because remember that it's not so much about who you know as it is about who knows you. People have to know about you to bring you deals, to offer you opportunities, and to come into your world. And that involves you putting yourself out there in a different way than maybe you're used to doing it. And then number 6 is, last but not least, this has to do with mindset. Boy, don't we all need to work on that. It's time to face your fears, and we all have fears. But make this the year that if you have a big fear of leading a group, of speaking at a meetup, whatever that looks like, that you will conquer this one fear. Just pick one. And for a lot of people, public speaking or giving presentations is a big one. If that's not it for you, maybe you don't want to make videos. If that's what your fear is, then just make a choice to tackle that fear, because it will move your business forward. And each time you do this, it'll get a little bit easier to tackle that fear. So then the other thing you want to do is tie up loose ends and decide to level up. So tie up loose ends. What does that mean? It means clean up your messes. Your messes can be up here in your mind. They can be things that are weighing you down. Remember the brain dump you were going to do? Get all those things out of your head and onto a piece of paper. So do a brain dump, get your messes out on paper. And these can be physical messes as well as mind messes. There's 2 different things. So we'll talk about that a little bit more in next week's show. But try to tie up loose ends. Do those things that you've been putting off. If you've got something hanging over your head, and it may have even been hanging over your head from the beginning of the year, just decide to take care of it. And when it comes to leveling up, to taking your business to the next level, this is a decision. And it's often a hard decision because it involves you doing things you're not used to doing, you don't want to do, rather not even talk about them in a lot of cases. But work on your mindset around these things, because you're going to need to think about those as we go into next week's show. And when you talk about marketing, you talk about branding, you talk about all these things to grow your business, a lot of those things are just intricately tied up with your mindset. So I want to work on that a little bit. Okay, guys, I told you this was going to be short and sweet, down and dirty, a quick show. So take action, take a few minutes and go through these 6 things and just jot them down on a piece of paper. Decide how you're going to move forward, what you can realistically do. There's not too much to this, really and truly, but take 30 minutes or so and determine how you'll work on these things, make a plan, just decide how you will take action. That's the big thing. How are you going to take action? And I will see you same time, same place next week, and we will talk about starting the new year strong. Thanks again for coming out.